I used to equate good sex with a symphony of fireworks, explosive, rapid, and over almost before you could truly savor the experience. That was the pattern of my encounters, until a magical Thursday evening with Damien redefined everything. The instant his hands found me, I sensed a departure from the norm. No forceful grabbing, no hurried pace, just a tender exploration. His fingertips traced languid circles on my exposed shoulder as we shared a kiss. Each caress lingered, as if time itself had stretched to accommodate us. The soft glow of the bedside lamp cast dancing shadows across his face when he drew back to meet my gaze. My breath hitched as his lips embarked on a leisurely journey down my neck. Every kiss felt deliberate, an act of savoring rather than a race to a destination. When his hand glided down my side, it lacked the familiar impatient fumbling. His palm embraced my waist as if committing my form to memory. Strangely, I felt no trace of the anxiety that usually plagued me. There was no pressure to perform, no imaginary clock ticking in my thoughts, only the comforting weight of his body beside mine, and a delicious tension simmering with each unhurried touch. As his exploration ventured lower, with exquisite slowness, I experienced a revelation. This gradual awakening was more intoxicating than any rushed encounter I had ever known. Damien wasn't adhering to some internal script. He was fully present with me, attuned to my body's responses and adapting to every sigh and shiver. This transcended mere physicality. It was the discovery of an entirely new language of pleasure. Damien didn't simply touch me, he unveiled me. That night unfolded into an excavation of sensation. His hands meticulously unearthed layers of feeling I hadn't realized existed. He began at my fingertips, bestowing slow kisses on each one, as if counting the accelerate points of my pulse. When his lips journeyed down my arm, I could still feel the warmth of his breath against my skin long after he had moved on. The hollow of my elbow became a point of fascination. "You're sensitive here," he murmured, more to himself than aloud. His tongue traced the delicate skin, sending shivers of delight through my entire being. Each new discovery, the curve behind my knee, the hollow above my hip bone, felt like uncovering a hidden treasure. I had never fully appreciated how much of my body had been overlooked before. Damien celebrated every inch with a reverence that bordered on worship. When his fingers finally found the space between my thighs, it was with the same tender attentiveness he had shown to every other part of me. Time seemed to warp and bend around us. The air carried the sweet fragrance of vanilla from a long-burning candle, mingled with a warmer, muskier scent. My breathing grew ragged as he explored me, piece by piece, learning the precise amount of pressure that made me gasp, the rhythm that made me arch off the bed. This was more than just a physical experience. With each new sensation, something within me was also unraveling. Old notions of what intimacy should be, how quickly it should unfold. Damien wasn't just mapping my body, he was rewriting my very understanding of pleasure. And when the wave finally crested within me, it wasn't the abrupt climax I was accustomed to, but something deeper, more complete. Like drawing a long, satisfying breath after being submerged for too long. Kneeling before me in the soft light, Damien's eyes held a question. His hands resting on my thighs were not demanding, but rather an invitation. When I nodded, he lowered his head, as if acknowledging something sacred. The initial touch of his tongue sent a ripple of electric warmth through me. It wasn't the hurried pressure I had known before, but slow, deliberate strokes that gradually intensified the heat. His fingers pressed gently into my hips, anchoring me as waves of sensation threatened to carry me away. Through half-closed eyes, I watched him move with the unhurried grace of someone who found joy in the journey itself. The flickering candlelight danced on the perspiration at his temples, highlighting the focused intensity in his shoulders as he continued his exploration. My hands found their way into his hair, not to direct him, but simply to connect, to feel the tangible proof of his devotion beneath my fingertips. Time ceased to have meaning. The room filled with hushed sounds, my shuddering breaths, the soft, moist sounds of his ministrations, the occasional low groan when he discovered a rhythm that made my back arch. Pleasure swelled in undulating waves, each crest higher than the last, until I was trembling with the effort to remain still. When the release came, it washed over me like a summer storm, deep, resonant, leaving me breathless and glowing in its aftermath. Damien rested his forehead against my thigh as I descended, his own breathing ragged. Words were unnecessary. The reverence in his touch had conveyed everything. Afterward, we lay entwined in the tranquil afterglow, our skins still humming with residual electricity. Damien's fingertips traced idle patterns across my stomach, not seeking further stimulation, but simply savoring the connection. The rise and fall of his chest beneath my palm mirrored my own breathing, creating a rhythm more intimate than any I had ever experienced. Moonlight streamed through the curtains, casting silver streaks across our bodies. I studied the way the light played on his collarbone, the curve of his shoulder, the faint sheen of moisture still drying on his skin. His heartbeat pulsed steadily against me, a quiet reminder of the life we shared in that moment. There was magic in the stillness, not the absence of passion, but its echo. The comforting weight of his arm across my waist, the way our legs remained intertwined without urgency. His lips brushed my forehead in a gesture so tender it brought a lump to my throat. I had never truly understood how much could be communicated without words. The gentle pressure of his fingers interlaced with mine spoke of contentment. The slow caress of his thumb along my hip bone whispered promises of more moments like this. Even the quiet sigh he breathed into my hair carried a weight of meaning deeper than any declaration. As my eyelids grew heavy, I came to a profound realization. Pleasure wasn't confined to the peak moment, but resided also in these suspended moments afterward. The security of his embrace, the unspoken understanding that we had stumbled upon something precious, something we hadn't known we were seeking. The last sensation I remembered before sleep claimed me was the warmth of his breath on my neck, and the profound peace of feeling truly seen. Morning light spilled across the sheets, painting the places where our bodies still touched with gold. I watched Damien sleep, noting the steady rise and fall of his chest, the way his eyelashes cast delicate shadows on his cheeks. Something fundamental within me had shifted, quietly but irreversibly. The memories of the previous night shimmered across my skin like sunbeams. It wasn't solely the pleasure, though that had been more profound than anything I had ever known, but the way he had looked at me afterward, as if I were something rare and precious, not merely an object of desire. His fingers tracing the line of my spine as we drifted off had conveyed more truth than any flowery love letter. I slipped from the bed, the cool hardwood a contrast beneath my bare feet. Standing by the window, I pressed a hand to my chest, where this newfound understanding now resided. The old me might have questioned this, doubted its permanence, but the woman who had been unraveled and remade by Damien's patient hands knew better. He stirred behind me, the sheets rustling softly. I turned to find him watching me with eyes still softened by sleep, his smile slow and knowing. Wordlessly, he opened his arms. I moved towards him, marveling at how perfectly we fit together, not just our bodies, but this quiet resonance between us. As his lips brushed my temple, the revelation settled deep within my bones. Intimacy wasn't about performance or conquest, but about this: the safety to be vulnerable, the freedom to explore, the courage to allow someone to truly see you. Damien hadn't just unveiled new dimensions of pleasure, he had revealed a new way for me to inhabit my own being. The morning stretched before us, brimming with infinite possibilities.